Deep in the forests and countryside of Brazil, people have told a strange and fascinating story for generations. Farmers, travelers, and villagers have long spoken about mysterious events that seem impossible to explain. Tools disappear without reason, animals become restless during the night, and sometimes small whirlwinds suddenly appear in the middle of a calm field. The air may be completely still, yet a spiral of wind begins spinning across the ground as if something invisible is moving through the land. According to Brazilian folklore, those whirlwinds are not just a natural phenomenon. Many believe that inside them lives a mischievous spirit known as Saci-Pererê, one of the most famous and mysterious figures in the folklore of Brazil. Described as a small trickster with a magical red cap, a playful but cunning personality, and only one leg, the Saci has fascinated generations with stories of his pranks, his powers, and his mysterious presence in the forests and rural lands of the country. The origins of the legend of Saci-Pererê go back hundreds of years and reflect the unique cultural mixture that shaped Brazil itself. The earliest elements of the story are believed to come from indigenous tribes who lived in the forests long before European colonization. These tribes often told stories about spiritual beings that lived within nature, invisible forces that moved with the wind and protected the balance of the forest. Later, African traditions brought to Brazil during the period of slavery added new characteristics to the story, transforming the figure into a playful and unpredictable trickster spirit. Over time, European folklore also influenced the legend, introducing magical elements such as enchanted objects and supernatural abilities. As these cultures blended together through centuries of Brazilian history, the legend slowly evolved into the figure now widely known as the Saci. In most descriptions, he appears as a young boy with dark skin and a mischievous smile, always wearing a bright red magical cap and sometimes smoking a small pipe. Yet what makes him truly unforgettable is the detail that has made the legend famous around the world. The Saci has only one leg, but despite this, he can move faster than any human, spinning through forests and fields like a whirlwind. The red cap worn by Saci-Pererê is believed to be the source of his magical powers. According to the stories told across rural Brazil, whoever manages to take the cap from the Saci can control him and force him to grant wishes or obey commands. But capturing such a clever and fast creature is nearly impossible. The Saci is known for his intelligence and his love of mischief. He can appear and disappear in an instant, travel through whirlwinds, and confuse anyone who tries to follow him into the forest. Unlike many creatures from folklore, the Saci is not usually described as evil or dangerous. Instead, he enjoys causing harmless chaos and watching humans struggle to understand what is happening around them. Farmers often blamed him for strange problems that appeared overnight. Milk left in containers would mysteriously spoil before morning. Eggs would suddenly break without explanation. Horses would appear with their manes tied into complicated knots that no one could have made during the night. Tools and household objects would vanish and then appear in completely different places. Whenever something unusual happened in a rural home or farm, people would often smile and say that the Saci had been there during the night, playing one of his tricks. Among the many stories told about the Saci, one of the most famous involves a farmer who lived near the edge of a dense forest. For several weeks, the man had been experiencing strange problems on his farm. His crops were being damaged even though there were no animals nearby. His chickens escaped from their coop for no clear reason. His horses behaved nervously during the night, and every morning their manes appeared tangled with strange knots. At first, the farmer believed it was simply bad luck, or perhaps the work of some unknown animal wandering through the property. But the strange events continued happening again and again. One morning, as he walked across his field, he noticed something unusual. In the middle of the grass, a small whirlwind had formed, slowly spinning in circles while the rest of the air around it remained perfectly still. The sight immediately reminded him of an old story his grandfather used to tell him when he was a child. According to the legend, whenever a small whirlwind appears suddenly in a calm field, it may not be just the wind. Many people believe that inside the spinning air is the Saci himself, traveling quickly from one place to another. Remembering this story, the farmer began to wonder if the mischievous spirit could be responsible for all the strange problems on his farm. Determined to discover the truth, he decided to follow an old piece of folklore that described how a person might capture a Saci. According to the legend, if someone throws a sieve directly into the center of a whirlwind, the spinning wind will stop and the Saci inside will become trapped. The farmer waited patiently for another opportunity. Days passed, and nothing unusual appeared. But one afternoon, while working near his barn, he saw the familiar sight once again. A small whirlwind slowly forming across the field. His heart began to beat faster as he realized that this might be his chance. Quickly grabbing a sieve, he ran toward the spinning wind and, with a sudden movement, threw it directly into the center of the whirlwind. For a moment, everything became silent. The wind stopped spinning, and the field became completely still again. Standing in front of him was a small figure with a red cap, balancing easily on one leg and looking at the farmer with a mischievous smile. According to the legend, the farmer had managed to capture the Saci. But the stories also warn that capturing such a clever trickster is never a good idea. Even when trapped, the Saci is known for his intelligence and his ability to escape from almost any situation. And when he finally manages to regain his freedom, the pranks he plays on the person who captured him often become even more troublesome. Over time, the legend of Saci-Pererê became deeply rooted in Brazilian culture. Historians and researchers believe that stories like this were often created as a way to explain strange events that people in rural communities could not easily understand. Before modern science and technology, mysterious sounds in the forest, sudden changes in weather, or unexplained problems on farms often seemed supernatural. The Saci became a playful explanation for these mysteries, turning everyday problems into entertaining stories that families could share with one another. But the legend also carries a deeper symbolic meaning. Many believe that the Saci represents the unpredictable forces of nature itself. The wind that suddenly rises across a quiet field, the sounds that echo through the forest at night, and the sense that the natural world contains secrets that humans cannot fully control. In this way, the legend reminds people to respect the power and mystery of nature. Even today, the story of Saci-Pererê continues to live on in Brazil. Children still grow up hearing stories about the mischievous one-legged trickster who travels inside whirlwinds. Books, television programs, and movies have kept the character alive for new generations. And in rural areas, when the wind suddenly begins spinning across a quiet field, some people still smile and repeat the same playful idea that has existed for centuries. They say that the Saci is passing by once again, laughing as he travels across the land. Whether the legend is seen as a simple story, a cultural tradition, or a mysterious possibility hidden within the forests of Brazil, one thing remains certain. The legend of the Saci continues to capture the imagination of anyone who hears it. And if you ever find yourself walking through the Brazilian countryside and see a small whirlwind appear out of nowhere, you might want to watch carefully. Because somewhere inside that spinning wind, the Saci might already be there, laughing quietly and waiting for his next trick.